stand for the national or pledge allegiance. Sorry. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, please.
Chad.
Yes.
John Christopher.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yeah.
Tommy.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
John Callahan.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes. I need a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
I move for approval of the agenda as presented.
And Callahan, can I get a second, please? George, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? John Christopher, oh, we're not to that yet. Yeah, we're not to that yet. All right, next we have comments from the audience. We have 3 tonight. Just remind you to please keep it to 3 minutes or under. Heather Mudd, would like to come on up.
Hello again. At the risk of being a broken record, I would like to ask for action on bullying. You all made it a priority, and apparently making it a priority means you send out some paper but don't actually take any action. I have 3 children in the district, 1 in high school at West High School, 1 at West Middle School, and 1 at Twin Chimneys. I had to fill out almost 40 pages of enrollment material to get those 3 kids into school. I had to fill out a form that said my high school daughter won't wear a midriff to homecoming and won't do any dirty dancing. Where is the piece of paper that acknowledges that bullying is a problem and that I'm saying that I won't let my kids be bullies? Where is any kind of recognition about anything reasonable or appropriate in our schools? Are we really more concerned about midriffs and dirty dancing than about bullying and treating kids with kindness and appropriate behavior? You said you were going to start a committee. I got the email on March 20th while I was in Kansas City for a robotics competition. It's cool if you guys don't want me to be on the committee that I've been asking for a year, but has it started? Am I the only person that got left off? Or did you really just say we're going to have a bullying committee to get people to shut up about it, but not actually take any action? You have a 4th grader, new 5th grader, who attempted suicide 3 times last year due to bullying. And what have you done to show that child that you're concerned about her school environment and you want her to be safe and protected at school? What has she seen? 0. It would have been a fantastic thing to have something in place so that when kids went back to school, they knew that that was a commitment that this body of elected representatives and this body of school staff had in place, and you have failed them entirely. I think action needs to happen. It needs to happen quickly, and I frankly think that despite the fact that I respect and like and admire many of you on the board, I'm really disappointed. I'm appalled. Please act immediately. Please don't fail our kids any longer.
Good evening, Dr. DeBray, members of the board. My name is Heather Zahalski, and I have 2 kids in the district. Tonight, I'd like to speak to you about a very important subject, that of bullying in our schools and the potential dire consequences it can bring if not addressed and allowed to fester. We've all heard the tragic story of the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. What you may not have heard is that the shooter targeted his old classroom, room 111, where he was bullied his 4th grade year. It isn't out of the realm to think this affected him to the point that he came back to that scene years later and shot up a classroom full of innocent kids. We have got to get a hold on bullying. We have got to do a better job at identifying those at risk, getting those kids into counseling to appropriately deal with the root cause of why they are bullying, as well as counseling and support for those being bullied. If we don't, it could be just a matter of time before the horror that unfolded that day unfolds right here in one of our schools. So many school shooters have had a history of being bullied. The Safe Schools Initiative report found that 71% of school shooters had a history of being bullied. 87% left behind evidence that they were victims of bullying. It is the leading cause of school shootings. The trauma runs that deep that they are pushed to do the unthinkable. Most of them endured severe and long-term bullying. Most of us hopefully can't even imagine what that is like, to hurt so deeply yourself that you feel the need to act on hurting others. We must act, and we must act now. It's going to take all of us and must be a team effort. Administrators, teachers, counselors, and parents. It has to start at home and continue at school. We, as parents, have to make it very clear that bullying is never okay. Kids model what they see. It starts with our example at home, as well as how we treat others when we disagree or don't fully understand them. It starts with compassion, empathy, listening to understand, showing grace to those who are different or who we don't agree with, not hatred. We have a great start with the bullying committee, which has been approved by the board, and for that, I thank you. It is my hope that this committee will include parents, students, administrators, teachers, counselors, and community leaders. I urge you to make this a top priority. We need to act to get this up and running now so that together we can begin to understand the root cause of the bullying occurring in our district and come up with an actionable plan and implement it so that our community never sees the horrors that unfolded that day in Uvalde. So that none of our parents has to endure the horror that is losing a child to a preventable school shooting. Together we can and we must do this so that all of our students can feel safe and supported in their school environment, so that we can prevent school-related violence because a kid is pushed to the brink by relentless bullying no one does anything about, and out of desperation, pain, and deep-seated trauma, they act out their vengeance. My hope for this district is that we never see a day like they did in Uvalde, Texas, and that we act now to make sure we never do.
And Kathleen Bird.
Good evening, members of the board. I am here to talk about diversity again. A new school year is starting, and my two biracial daughters will be sitting in a Fort Zumwalt classroom next week. I am concerned about the lack of purposeful actions being taken to ensure a positive and safe learning environment for my children and all children who are different for one reason or another. Today, I'm going to share another personal story. This is about a conversation I had with another mom. We were at a field trip, and my daughter had her hair in 2 puffballs. She likes to wear her hair in 2 beautiful afro puffs, each one as large as her head, and she had it that way that day. Another mom and I were talking behind a group of children, both of our daughters bouncing ahead of us in the group, and she leans over to me and comments about how beautiful my daughter's hair is. She continues on saying it looks so fluffy, she just wanted to reach out to touch it. And then she asked me if she could. To me, it was as if a record screeched and time stopped, but we continued walking, not letting the group of children get ahead of us. I calmly and politely asked her if I could touch her hair, or her arm, or belly, or maybe another body part. She looked shocked and confused. Then a calm mama bear came out. I asked her to not pet my daughter, or ask to pet my daughter again. I told her my daughter was not a spectacle on display, nor an exotic species to be investigated. My daughter was a person, and people don't just go up to people touching their body parts like that. I was a bit upset and shocked, but also grateful I was there to stop someone from touching her that time because, unfortunately, her hair has been touched by others before. She didn't like it. My daughters are learning to advocate for themselves and speak up to stop people from touching their hair, but why is it something my elementary school students need to learn to do to attend school? You may not know this, but there is a history of Black people having their hair touched and or used to keep them out of certain situations. I'm willing to bet that many children in our district do not know this history either, but that doesn't change the feeling of being different, an outsider, an oddity, or a species that's studied. It doesn't change the trauma. I want to get ahead of that trauma and teach children about our differences and how to respect them. To help my daughter's teachers decrease the attempts to touch her hair in the classroom, I bought a book titled, "Don't Touch My Hair." Literally. It's by Cherie Miller, and it has a Black female lead character who has a big, gorgeous afro. She spends most of the book running from people and animals who are trying to touch her until she learns how to stand up for herself and ask people to stop. Reading a book such as this would not only teach children to not try to touch someone's hair just because it's different, it also gives an example of a child standing up for their own body autonomy. This book has been helpful in the classroom, and we've been in so far, and I would love for all of our students to learn about respecting hair as part of our bodies. Such a book might prevent the occurrences from happening, thereby preventing trauma in the first place. I started coming to these meetings due to an inappropriate response to a trauma that happened to a black student. Since then, I have learned about many more racially motivated traumas in our Fort Zumwalt schools, and the damages that has been done is extremely alarming. There's still real work that needs to be done to rebuild the feelings of positivity and safety for these students and any students who witness to be a part of it. A diversity and inclusion committee would be able to help it. And I know you guys said that you would do it, but we haven't seen any actions yet. Thank you for your time. Please let me know how I can help. My contact information on my letter. Thank you.
I need a motion to approve the consent agenda that's presented in front of you.
I move for approval as presented.
Callahan, second. Moore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Please note that Mr. Christopher is abstaining.
Abstain.
Next, we have our financial reports.
Good evening, members of the board. I direct your attention to the monthly financial report, specifically the monthly financial summary. Cash and investments for the month of July totaled $122,914,969.67. You may note that that is quite a bit more than we had last July, and that is entirely due to that $55 million bond sale that we had right at the end of the year last year. Of this balance, $120,632,377.70 was invested at July 31st, as shown on the investment schedule. Investments were comprised of $61.5 million of bond proceeds, $12.7 million debt service, and the remaining $46.4 million were in operating funds. Revenues for July totaled $8,901,184.96, as shown on the revenue report. Compared to last July, revenues are just slightly down by $666,000 in total. This is primarily related to a timing difference. So we received our property casualty rebate payment last year in July, whereas we had not received it yet this year. I did just get that report, so it's not too far off. We got about $900,000 last year. I think it's going to be $550, I think it was, or $750. I'm sorry, $750,000 or so. But anyway, that'll show up in August, so that that'll be kind of caught up where it belongs. State revenue receipts are almost identical to last July as expected, and federal revenue is down slightly compared to last July, and those are also due to a few minor timing variances of things that we received one time or another, but overall I think we're in line with where we would expect to be budget-wise. I don't have any concerns at this point. Monthly expenses for July totaled $8,149,728.32, as shown on the expense report. Payroll-related expenses totaled $3.3 million for the month. Purchase services, $1.1 million. Supplies, $1.2, and capital and construction-related expenses totaled $2.5. Compared to last July, expenses for the month are very similar in total, with very few, just only a few minor variances. And both revenues and expenses are as I would expect to see them for the month of July, and I didn't really have anything unusual to report. I don't know if anybody has any questions about any of the reports that are there that support this summary, but I would be happy to answer anything.
Any questions? Old business? No one need a motion?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. We need a motion to approve the financial reports presented to us. Moore, second. Christopher, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Yeah. Under old business.
First item under old business is facility planning. Lisa is going to give you an update. We're just coming to the end of our summer, getting ready to start school, and she's got several projects that she's going to update you on. So,
thank you, Dr. DeBray, members of the board. We are finishing up everything that we brought to you earlier this summer that you approved. The interior renovations at Forest Park is pretty much completed, just touching up a few fine little details. Over at the, we also had flooring projects, which included some libraries and other miscellaneous places. Those have all been completed. Everything's done, punch lists and everything, so we're ready there. Concrete overlay, we did that at Early Childhood and over at East High, and we are finishing up at East High. Well, they actually finished last Friday, but we're doing some detail work, backfilling, things like that, but we should be ready for school. So all the summer projects have come along really well. In your board report, there was a bond issue recap. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. It kind of goes over what we have obligated to date of the new bond money on different projects, and that's going to just keep growing as we just keep getting into the projects deeper and deeper. We've brought on some of the architects, we've got their fees, some of the other people like engineers and stuff, so it'll start growing, but we're going full steam ahead on those bond projects.
Please give the board a quick update on the flooding damage we had at South High School.
Sure. I don't know how much you guys are aware, but we had about an inch of water that came in on the July 27th heavy rainstorm. It flooded the entire bottom and it soaked up into the insulation and the drywall. So we have totally taken out all the drywall, removed all the contents, and they are just going like gangbusters. The drywall's all been rehung. We've got it all painted. We're trying to get the floors ready. So we're hoping that we might be into the first week of school, still in construction, but I'm hoping to have them ready to go back in there by that first week of school, the end of that first week, but it's coming along really well. So it's just bad storm.
Good. Next item under facility planning, Lisa has a change order she needs to bring your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Bray. In the board report, there was a memo to Dr. DeBray over at East High School when we were demoing the back of the patio area by the football field. They were bringing some heavy equipment in. It should not have caused any issues. It should have been fine, but we found in doing that I guess during the original construction, we didn't have any rock underneath that, and it was cracking some more additional concrete sections of the patio. So we ended up having to replace about 6,495 square feet additional that we weren't counting on. Karen Brock gave us a price. It was $10 a square foot, but this time they put in rock and concrete. So we got 4 inches of rock, 4 inches of concrete, to the tune of $64,950. We did tell them to proceed so we could get that done. We were kind of caught just unaware, and we had to proceed, but it is a change order that I have to bring to the board for your approval.
Right, so I need a motion to approve the concrete overlay change order. Anybody has any questions?
I move for approval as presented.
Callahan, second. Moore, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Lisa. New business?
Moving into new business, first item that we want to bring your attention is a program that we became aware of in the last few months, presented by Enterprise Leasing, that can really help us not only save some money, but also have better equipment for our guys to use in all of the areas that we have vehicles. So Jeff O'Rourke took the lead in this and is going to make a recommendation. Jeff?
Thank you, Dr. Bright. Members of the board, I'd like to introduce you. We have tonight with us Ryan Owens. He's an account executive with Enterprise Fleet Management. He's just here to answer any questions you may have. In your packet are all the documents that support my recommendation, which goes along with the memo. We currently have 46 cars, trucks, and vans in our fleet, used for various purposes, various departments, maintenance, custodial, food service, all over, transportation. So the average age of all of our vehicles, because typically what we do now is we buy them and we run them until they're at their end of life, but it is almost 12 years old. And we recently were approached by Ryan, and we had several meetings back and forth, and he presented us a program to replace and manage our fleet with newer vehicles, while at the same time reducing our overall operating cost. So this program at this point is to replace all of the vehicles over about a 5-year period, which is roughly 10 vehicles per year. Much of the cost savings would be made possible because governments can purchase, their pricing is so much less than the general public, and in a lot of cases we can buy these vehicles and sell them in a year or two as part of the program. It wouldn't be all vehicles would turn over every year or two, but there's quite a few that may, because they're actually worth more than we paid for them, even after a year or two of use. So that's part of the savings. As you may also understand, a lot of those vehicles will be under warranty at that point. Also, fuel savings, so we're going to reduce maintenance costs, fuel savings, and maintenance costs overall. They also would have better safety equipment on those, all the newer, latest and greatest. If you think about our fleet being 12 years old, a lot of those don't have some of the later and greater safety improvements on those. So at this point, that's kind of in a nutshell what the program is. There were some supporting documents in there that show that what right now the projection is over the first 10 years of the program, the district, we'd save about an average of $35,000 per year, or around $358,000 over that period of time. We have talked to some other districts that are using this program, and they like it. They think it's great. You know, having somebody like Enterprise manage it, this is all they do. So, you know, right now it's hard to get vehicles, and this is what kind of their forte is. So it may actually help us get some newer vehicles in here sooner and just maintain that fleet. So with that in mind, I would ask that you approve that, but I don't know if you have any questions for Ryan or for myself about the program, what's been presented.
Does anybody have any questions?
I don't have any questions per se. I'm excited to see this recommendation. I have this experience in another district, and not only does it save money, I'm excited that the equipment being updated. It's a much better face on the district all around, and you're able to keep your folks who are working their tails off in the best equipment possible, and still save a little money, so it's really kind of the best of both worlds. So I appreciate looking into and bringing this to us today.
If there are no other questions, then I ask for you to approve my recommendation to.
All right, I need a motion to approve the enterprise leasing recommendation. Christopher, second. Marion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Next item is Laura Smith as the annual special education local compliance plan, and she's going to make that recommendation.
Thank you, President Powers and Board of Education, Dr. DeBray. Every year at this time, we come to you and ask that you consider the adoption of the local compliance plan. Federal regulations, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, requires that school districts adopt and implement policies, procedures, and programs aligned to state policies established under federal regulations. The copy of the local compliance plan that was in your packet is the compliance plan that is put forth by the state. We do have options to write our own plan, to edit and change the state plan, or to adopt the plan as is. I would recommend that we adopt the plan as written. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Does anybody have any questions?
Just a comment, I have to applaud your work. There's 182 pages of very detailed requirements, and I will move for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second, Marion.
Marion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next item is a recommendation from Jen Waters on our local assessment plan, and that is a requirement of state.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. DeBray. In the packet, you have the local assessment plan. It is a DESE recommended practice that the board does approve that. There are very few changes to this plan. Basically, we have expanded the Acadians literacy screener to grades 4 and 5, which will give us some really great information on those 4th and 5th graders and what their reading literacy levels are. So we'll use that to provide interventions when necessary. We'll also replace the dyslexia screener for the district. So we will use that Acadians data now K through 5. Additionally, we have a few screeners at the middle school level that were added in. That goes along with the new reading curriculum. And they will also have access to the Acadian screeners as well. And so we've already started in servicing our teachers and our administrators on those new screeners, and feel really comfortable with the results we'll get from those. So those are really the only plans, the only changes to the plan. Do you have any questions?
I just wanted to comment on cadence. I got to see it in use, and the thing that I really liked about it is that it shows growth. And so when you're looking at the data of the child, because everybody's different, they still could be lower, but you want to see that growth happening, right? And for the kids, and it really shows that across the board. And because it's done several times through the year, your fingers on the pulse and you're watching that to see what's happening. So, like for instance, my son was tested with it, and I watched his stuff, and he had huge growth. He's still struggling in tough, he had huge growth, and that's an awesome thing, and it's very helpful for the teachers. So I've been really happy with it. I think it's a great tool.
Yep, we've been really pleased with it as well.
Thank you. With that, I need a motion to approve the local assessment plan presented by Mrs. Waters. Dr. Marion, second. Mr. Christopher, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, Dr. DeWright.
The last item under new business is the Board of Education priorities for the 22-23 school year. You've had these with you for the last week or so you probably looked through them. There's 9 priorities. The first one is for instructional program study, implementation, and revision. And all of those curricular areas are in our rotating schedule of curriculum review. So on the study, we'll have some curricular areas where our teachers will come together. There'll be committees, they'll review research, review materials to better teach the subject area study, and then make recommendations to the Board of Education later in the new school year. The second item under this instructional program study is the implementation. So everything you approved last school year will be implemented this year. And that we've gone out, we've bought the materials that you approved, we've written the curriculum, we've spread it out, and so we'll implement what was studied last year. And then the last thing we'll do under the instructional program study, implementation, and revision is to revise those areas that were taught for the first time last year. They should be very, very minor revisions, but I'm not going to go through all the different curricular areas or content areas because they're in your memo. But that's basically it, a study, an implementation, and a revision. Number 2, the district will establish a district-wide committee of board members, staff, parents, to study and make recommendations regarding bullying, identification, and prevention in the schools. The committee will review research, hear expert testimony, and develop recommendations to better identify and improve on bullying in the schools. I'll be the primary administrator, and John Schulte will be working with me on that. We'll develop the committee and everything as we get into the school year. Number 3, the district will continue with current plans to develop a district strategic plan for the next 5 to 10 year period. Something Paul worked on pretty deeply this last year, and it's probably maybe halfway through, but we've said that this strategic plan will include consulting with local municipal authorities regarding growth possibilities and economic impact of new commercial ventures being attracted to our area. Progress drafts of the strategic plan will be presented to the Board of Education at the October and March meetings. This has been a priority for a few years, and the pandemic has really slowed down what we were able to do on it. So by putting progress reports into the board, I think we can speed that up a little bit. But we do need to get our strategic plan in place for the next 5 to 10 year period. It's important for any district this large. Number 4, revise the district's comprehensive school improvement program, CSIP, incorporating the new MSIP 6 guidelines. This is really, really important in that MSIP 6 is the new method of accrediting the school district. And it's involving a lot more than it used to. It used to involve more academically oriented issues, and now it's into everything in the school district. So that, well, I'll list myself as primary administrator, but all the assistant superintendents at the district office will be working on that. It'll be a very, very comprehensive. We'll establish a committee that will include board members, staff members, and stakeholders for the purpose of developing a revised CSIP plan that will take into account the new MSIP 6 guidelines. Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and Regional Professional Development Center, or PDC, will be incorporated as needed in the effort. Number 5, the board, make plans to improve the courtesy and respect displayed by our students. We had a committee, and again, it was more before the pandemic hit, a few years before that, but we had committees to try to encourage better respect and courtesy displayed by our students to one another. And I thought we made a lot of progress at one time, but when the years have gone by, the pandemic years, we think it's time to return to that. John Christopher specifically asked that we consider this as a board priority. So the district will direct each building principal to appoint a committee with a purpose of analyzing and developing improvement strategies for the courtesy and respect displayed by our students in our school buildings. Improvement strategies will have as their main goal positive strategies for improvement rather than punitive measures that are already in place in the district discipline policy. Quarterly reports will be made to the superintendent and the Board of Education regarding these efforts. I don't know what that'll look like yet, but I want to get some feedback to the board so you know what's going on with courtesy and respect in our schools. I'm listed as the primary administrator. I've asked Laura Smith to work with me on that. The next one is 6. The district will continue to develop and enhance its quality instructional programs to improve student achievement in all curricular areas. This is a CSIP goal from our past CSIP plan, which is going to be revised, but right now I've included those in the board priorities. So that's 6, developing and enhancing quality instructional programs. 7 is continue to recruit, develop, and retain highly qualified staff. 8 is continue to increase communication and improve relationships with stakeholders. And 9 is the district will improve the financial structures to support facility and technology growth and sustain student achievement. So the last 4 have been things that we've worked on for a number of years now, and they still are germane for us doing that. Now, I will mention that one of the points brought up earlier in the evening was about a diversity committee. And we are going to have a diversity committee. The diversity committee, the bullying committee, you can't get off the ground during the summer. You just can't, because everybody's scattered to the winds. We will get those committees going in the first month of the school year. And I will be working with district administrators on those committees. But diversity will be a committee, bullying will be a committee, and the CSIP plan will be a committee. Those will be our 3 committees that we'll be working on this year. We will get board members, make that available to board members, staff members, and parents or stakeholders, whichever is most important. Will be involved as well. So it's a lot of material to get going. I'm looking for a great school year. I'm looking for it to be more normal than ever. And on top of that, we're going to spend a lot of time on a lot of improvement type activities that committees can bring about. So those are the 9 official board priorities that I would like to recommend to you, and I'd be happy to respond to any questions you might have.
I got a couple questions. One, I just want to make sure, I think it's really important, and I'm sure it's no, you agree with the strategic plan because it's mapping us out for the next 5 years. Of course, you're the administrator in charge of that, but I'm assuming Paul will be right beside you along with that.
Yeah, he's been taking the lead this past year.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then I was surprised, and I've been debating whether to bring it up, but I really think, we have the bullying committee, and we have a district priority that goes with that, so I'm a little surprised we don't have the diversity inclusion board priority.
We just haven't made everything.
Sure.
There are committees that we have that aren't necessarily board priority.
And I do understand that. I just think that's one I think I would like to see us have a board priority. But in fact, I would make a motion that we have a board priority for diversity.
Second.
So there's a first and a second.
All right, all in favor say aye. So I need a motion to approve the Board of Education priorities for this 22-23 school year with the addition that Dr. Murray suggested.
So moved, Marion.
Second,
Second.
Callahan, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Comments from the board. Gabriel, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Just thank you for coming out tonight. Sorry for the meeting. Look forward to seeing everybody next month.
Dr. Murray?
I'm still on anyway. Yeah, my comments were, I'm excited to get the school year going, excited about the board priorities. And I feel the pain of folks that wish we were moving faster, even though I get the logistics of it totally. I know it's nearly impossible to do things over the summer. So my logical brain knows that, but my heart still hurts because we can't move forward and we have to wait. So I just want everybody to know it's not for a lack of commitment on the board's part. It's just really tough to do things over the summer. So hey, that's, I just want to know it's important to us, and I'm excited to get to work on it.
Mr. George?
I'm excited about the start of school as well. It looks like we're set up for a good start this year with all the new administrators we saw before. And congratulations to the 4 students that graduated this evening. Proves hard work can get you where you need to go. Just another thing, like in that whole vein of the diversity and bullying committees, just treat each other with kindness. That's a good place to start. We shouldn't need a committee to tell us to treat each other good, but I guess we're going to need. I'm glad to hear.
Make a motion for that? Mr. Moore?
Yeah, I'm excited to start the school year. This is, every year we get away from the pandemic. It seems to be feeling more normal, so that is great to hear. It was really nice meeting all the administrators that have taken on new roles and commitments to the district tonight as well. And it's always great. The summer graduation is kind of the last bit of the year prior that we can close out. And really proud of those individuals for sticking with it. Every year when we have the summer graduation, it's just a reminder that there's always still somebody out there that's really working hard, and they just pushed hard and did it, and they need to be recognized and commended for staying with it and pushing through. So excited about the school year.
Mr. Christopher?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the school year. Obviously, first one as a board member, so that's always exciting. Hope to learn a lot. Hope to try to make positive contributions. The 22 administrators out there, that's a large number to come in. And I was talking with Dr. DeBray earlier, and he was talking about how high quality and high experience they are. And out of those 22, I probably know about 8 of them, with them being former students and different things, and they are great people. So I look forward to seeing how they contribute in their new roles, and I think they're going to do awesome.
Mr. Callahan?
Thank you. I just want to say I'm also impressed with the new administrators. The people are very impressive to me with their depth and breadth of experience and education, and I think they will serve our community well. The summer graduation, there was 4 young people. I applaud them for their hard work and focus. They have a significant milestone that they can be very proud of. Thank you.
I just wanted to touch on and add a little bit with the bullying and the diversity. I want to hit home that just because it's not on our agenda does not mean we're not working on it. So we have had very in-depth conversations, and especially these people sitting over here are working on stuff that we've discussed and got all of our thoughts out and said, hey, this is what we're looking for. What are you working on? What are you looking for? Here's our end goal. This is what we're doing. So lots of people are involved in this. Juan, Melissa Tichy, who's new in her position, which is very exciting. Everybody's super involved in this, and it is happening. it is going on. This isn't sliding because it's the summer. It's just getting that actual group together and getting that rolling is what we need to do before it started. But it is going, it is moving forward, and I'm really excited. We had a really great conversation the other night and worked through a lot of stuff. And like I said, these people over here, the things they have in place that they're working on, that they're very much aware of to help our students mentally and with bullying and with diversity. I think it's going to be really, really good and really positive. So I want to thank all of them. I thank all of you who bring up and stay on top of it, because it's very important to stay on top of those things. But I do want to give you my word that it's very important that every one of us sitting up here, we are 100% working on it. So just wanted to put that out there. Right, with that, we need a motion to adjourn. Mr. Christopher, second. George, all in favor say aye. Any opposed?